When one wrong text message becomes a death sentence. Lena Carter thought the worst thing that could happen tonight was a broken heart. She was wrong. One furious message sent in rage to the wrong number just reached the phone of Adrian Voss, a man whose name makes hardened criminals go silent. Now he's calling back, and his voice carries the kind of calm that precedes violence. She doesn't know it yet, but this mistake won't just change her life. It might end it. Or worse, drag her into a world where love and danger are the same thing. Stay with me until the end, hit that like button, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. The rain came down like punishment. Lena sat on the edge of her bed, phone clutched in both hands, mascara tracking dark lines down her cheeks. Her apartment felt smaller than usual, the walls pressing in with every shallow breath she managed to take. The bedroom light flickered, had been flickering for weeks, but she'd never bothered to fix it, just like she'd never bothered to see what everyone else apparently saw about Marcus. Her phone buzzed. Another message from him. "Baby, please just let me explain." She stared at it until the words blurred. 20 minutes ago, she'd walked into the Crimson Room, the bar where Marcus said he was having drinks with coworkers. He'd been having drinks, all right. With his tongue down another woman's throat, her red dress hiked up while his hands wandered places they had no business being. Lena had stood there, frozen, until the woman noticed her. Then Marcus noticed her. Then everyone in that corner of the bar noticed the girlfriend who wasn't supposed to show up. She'd left without a word, drove home in silence, sat down in this exact spot, and tried to remember how to breathe properly. Another buzz. "I love you." It was a mistake. She meant nothing. "She meant nothing," Lena whispered to the empty room. Her voice sounded foreign, like someone else was speaking through her mouth. Her best friend Jess had called 3 times. Lena finally answered on the 4th. "I'm coming over," Jess said immediately. "Don't." "Lena, I'm fine." "You're not fine. Nobody's fine after—" "I said, I'm fine." Lena's voice cracked on the last word, betraying her completely. A pause. Then Jess's voice came softer. "You want to know what you should do?" "What?" "Tell him exactly what you think of him. Every single word you've been holding back. Type it all out, send it, then block him and never look back." Lena laughed, a brittle sound. "That's your advice? Be mean?" "Being mean is underrated. He deserves to know he's garbage. Say it, you'll feel better." They talked for another 10 minutes, Jess's voice a steady anchor in the storm. When they hung up, Lena stared at her phone again. Marcus's messages had multiplied like bacteria. "We can fix this. Don't throw away 3 years. You're overreacting." That last one did it. Her fingers started moving before her brain fully engaged. Every word she'd swallowed in that bar came pouring out. Every time she'd excused his lateness, his distance, his casual cruelty disguised as honesty. 3 years of bending herself into smaller and smaller shapes, and this was the payoff. Lipstick on his collar and someone else's perfume on his neck. She typed like she was possessed. Paragraphs of fury, the kind of message you write but never send. Except tonight, she was sending it. Tonight, she was done being the understanding girlfriend. Her thumb hovered over the send button. "You'll feel better," she whispered, echoing Jess. She pressed it. The message whooshed away into the digital void, and for exactly 4 seconds, Lena felt powerful, cleansed, free. Then she looked at the screen again. Her stomach dropped so hard she thought she might vomit. The message hadn't gone to Marcus. The contact name at the top of the thread read, "Unknown number." Not Marcus, not his name, not his number, not his picture. An unsaved contact from, she scrolled up, hands shaking, a spam call she'd received yesterday. She'd meant to delete it, had forgotten. "No," she breathed. "No, no, no." She read her own message back, horror mounting with each line. "You're a worthless piece of shit, and I hope you choke on your own lies. You think you're so important, so untouchable, but you're nothing, nothing, just another pathetic man who can't keep it in his pants. I wasted 3 years on you, and I hope you rot for it. Don't ever contact me again, or I swear I'll make you regret every second you spent breathing the same air as me." Oh, God. Her hands trembled so badly she almost dropped the phone. Some random stranger now had this message. Some person who would think she was insane, or dangerous or... The phone rang. The unknown number, calling back. Lena's heart stopped. Her finger moved to decline, but something made her freeze. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the same self-destructive impulse that had made her send the message in the first place. She answered. Didn't say anything. Just held the phone to her ear and waited. A voice came through. Male. Calm. The kind of calm that felt wrong, like the eye of a hurricane. Who is this? 3 words. That was all. But they carried weight that made Lena's skin prickle with instinctive fear. She should hang up, should apologize, explain, something. Instead, her throat closed completely. I asked you a question. Still calm. Somehow worse for it. Who is this? Lena's finger found the end call button and jabbed it like her life depended on it. The line went dead. She threw the phone onto the bed like it had burned her and stumbled backward until her shoulders hit the wall. Her mind raced. That voice. There had been something in that voice that her hindbrain recognized as danger, even if she couldn't articulate why. The way apex predators supposedly recognize each other. It's fine, she told herself, voice shaking. It's fine. They won't call back. They'll think I'm crazy and forget about it. It's fine. The phone stayed silent for exactly 2 minutes. Then another call, same number. This time she didn't answer, declined it immediately, then blocked the number with fingers that could barely work the screen. She spent the next hour sitting against the wall, watching her phone like it might explode. Marcus kept texting her actual number. She'd forgotten to block him in the chaos, but she barely registered the notifications. All her focus stayed locked on that blocked contact, waiting for it to somehow call through anyway. It didn't. By midnight, her heart rate had almost returned to normal. The rain had softened to a drizzle. She was being paranoid. Some random person got a crazy message from a wrong number and called to figure out what was happening. That was all. They'd shrugged it off by now, probably told the story to friends for a laugh. She finally peeled herself off the floor, took a shower that scalded her skin pink, and fell into bed. Sleep didn't come easy, but eventually exhaustion won. The dreams were strange, shadows that moved wrong. A voice asking who she was over and over, each repetition colder than the last. She woke to sunlight slicing through her curtains and her phone buzzing on the nightstand. Unknown number, different from last night. Her stomach nodded, but she answered anyway. Maybe it was a delivery. Maybe it was work. Maybe... Lena Carter? A woman's voice this time. Professional, crisp. Who's asking? My name is Simone. I'm calling on behalf of someone who would like to meet with you, today, if possible. Lena sat up too fast, head spinning. I don't... Who? A car will arrive at your address in 1 hour. The driver will wait for 15 minutes. After that, the invitation is rescinded. A pause. I'd suggest you accept. Listen, I don't know what this is, but 1 hour, Ms. Carter. I recommend dressing appropriately. The line went dead. Lena stared at her phone, heart hammering. This wasn't happening. This was insane. You didn't just get mysterious calls telling you to get in strange cars. That was how people ended up on true crime podcasts. She should call the police. She should call Jess. She should do literally anything except what every instinct in her body was suddenly screaming at her to do, which was find something appropriate to wear because apparently she was getting in that car. You're an idiot, she told her reflection as she tore through her closet. An absolute idiot. This is how you die. But her hands kept moving, pulling out a simple black dress that was professional enough for a funeral or a meeting with whoever had received her rage text last night. Because that's what this was about. Had to be. There was no other explanation. She did her makeup with shaking hands, covering the evidence of last night's crying jag. Tried to eat toast and gave up after 2 bites. Checked the street from her window every 30 seconds. Exactly 1 hour after the call, a black car pulled up to her building. Not a regular car. A town car. The kind with a driver and an actual cap who got out and stood by the back door, hands folded, waiting. Lena's legs moved on autopilot. Down the stairs, out the door, across the sidewalk. The morning air felt too thin, like there wasn't enough oxygen to properly fill her lungs. The driver opened the door without a word. She got in. The interior smelled like leather and something expensive she couldn't name. The seats were more comfortable than her bed. As soon as her door closed, the car pulled away from the curb with barely a whisper of sound. "Where are we going?" she asked. The driver didn't answer, didn't even acknowledge she'd spoken. "Right. Of course." The drive took 20 minutes through downtown, then into a part of the city where the buildings got taller and the people got scarcer. They pulled up to a restaurant Lena recognized from magazines. Aurelius, the kind of place where reservations required 6 months' notice and connections she'd never have. It looked closed. The windows were dark, the sign unlit. The driver opened her door. She got out because what else was she going to do? The restaurant's front door opened before she reached it. A woman stood there, early 40s, elegant in a way that looked effortless but probably cost more than Lena's rent. Dark hair pulled back, expression neutral. "Ms. Carter, I'm Simone. Please, come in." The interior was dim, most lights off, but Lena could make out the expensive simplicity of it. White tablecloths, fresh flowers despite being closed, artwork that was probably original. And at a table in the very center of the space, a man sat alone. He didn't stand when she entered, didn't smile, just watched her approach with the kind of focus that made her feel like a specimen under glass. He was younger than she'd expected from that voice on the phone, mid-30s maybe, though it was hard to tell. Dark hair, darker eyes, sharp features that might have been handsome if they weren't so carefully controlled. He wore a suit that probably cost what she made in 3 months. Black on black, no tie. But what caught her attention, what made her steps falter, was the stillness of him. He didn't fidget, didn't shift, barely seemed to blink, just watched her with the patience of something that knew how to wait. "Sit," he said. Not an invitation. An instruction. Lena's pride flared. She didn't take orders from strangers, but her survival instinct was louder. She sat. Simone disappeared somewhere into the shadows of the restaurant, leaving them alone. The silence stretched. Lena counted her heartbeats, 12, 13, 14, before he spoke again. "You sent me an interesting message last night." His voice was different in person, still calm, but with an edge she hadn't caught over the phone, like a blade wrapped in silk. "That was a mistake," Lena said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Wrong number. I was upset. I wasn't thinking. You told me you hoped I'd choke on my own lies." He tilted his head slightly. "That I was nothing, pathetic. That you'd make me regret breathing the same air as you." Heat flooded her face. "I thought I was texting someone else. My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. I found him cheating and I'm sorry. It was meant for him." "But you sent it to me." "Yes. By accident. Accidents have consequences." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Lena's hands clenched in her lap, nails digging into her palms. "What do you want?" she asked. "If you want an apology, fine. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'll pay for your phone therapy or whatever, but I'm not some crazy person. I just had a bad night." Something flickered across his face. Not quite amusement, but close. "You don't know who I am." It wasn't a question, but she answered anyway. "No. But you're here. You didn't really give me a choice." "There's always a choice, Lena." The use of her first name sent a chill down her spine. This man had looked her up, knew where she lived, had sent a car and gotten her here with a single phone call. "Who are you?" she asked. He considered her for a long moment, then reached into his jacket. Lena tensed and pulled out a phone. Her message was pulled up on the screen. He set it on the table between them. "My name is Adrian Voss." He said it like it should mean something. It didn't. "Okay," Lena said slowly. "Adrian, I really am sorry about the message. Can I go now?" That almost amusement flickered again. "You're either very brave or very stupid." I'm leaning towards stupid at this point. This time he did smile. Barely, just a slight curve at one corner of his mouth. It didn't reach his eyes. "Most people who speak to me the way you did in this message don't get to apologize in person." The words hung in the air like smoke. Lena's mouth went dry. "What do they get to do?" she asked, then immediately wished she hadn't. Regret it. She should leave. should stand up and walk out and never look back. But her legs wouldn't cooperate, and some part of her brain was screaming that running from this man would be the worst mistake she could make. "I really didn't mean to text you," she said quietly. "I was just angry at someone else. Please." Adrian studied her face like he was reading a language only he understood. Then he leaned back in his chair, that terrible focus easing just slightly. "Tell me about him." "What?" "The man you meant to message. Tell me about him." Lena blinked. Of all the things she'd expected, casual conversation wasn't on the list. "Why?" "Because I'm curious." It was absurd. Sitting in an empty restaurant with a stranger who'd essentially summoned her like she was on trial, being asked about her failed relationship. But the alternative to answering felt dangerous in a way she couldn't articulate. "His name's Marcus," she started. "We were together 3 years. I thought—" Her voice caught. "I thought we were happy. Found out last night I was wrong." "How?" "Walked in on him with someone else at a bar." Adrian's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture, the barest hint of tension. "And you went home and sent that message." "I went home and had a breakdown. My friend told me to tell him off. I tried to. Sent it to you instead." She met his eyes. "Bad luck, I guess." "I don't believe in luck." "Then what do you believe in?" The question came out before she could stop it. Adrian's eyebrow raised a fraction. "Consequences," he said. "Choices, cause and effect." "So what's the effect of my choice to text you by accident?" "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you're telling the truth." Anger sparked in Lena's chest, cutting through the fear. "Why would I lie? You think I wanted this?" She gestured at the space between them. "You think I wanted to end up in some closed restaurant being interrogated by a man who's been making cryptic threats since I got here?" Adrian's eyes darkened. "I haven't threatened you. You said people who talk to you like I did regret it. That's not a threat. It's a fact." "What's the difference?" "Intent." He leaned forward slightly. "If I threatened you, Lena, you'd know it." They stared at each other across the table. Lena's heart hammered against her ribs, but she didn't look away. Couldn't, somehow. Then Adrian stood and she flinched despite herself. "You can go," he said. Lena didn't move. "That's it?" "You came. You explained. I believe you." He straightened his cuffs with mechanical precision. "Simone will drive you home." It felt like a trap, like there had to be more, some other shoe waiting to drop. "Why did you bring me here?" Lena asked. "If you were just going to let me go?" Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, and for a second something almost human crossed his face. "I wanted to see who had the nerve to speak to me like that," he said, "even by accident." Then he turned and walked away, disappearing through a door at the back of the restaurant. Simone materialized at Lena's elbow like she'd been conjured. "This way, Ms. Carter." The ride home passed in a blur. Lena's mind couldn't process what had just happened. The fear was fading, replaced by a strange kind of exhaustion. She'd been braced for something terrible, and instead got— what? A conversation? A warning wrapped in politeness? The car stopped at her building. Simone handed her a business card through the window. "If you need anything," she said, "call that number." Lena took the card automatically. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, just a phone number, nothing else. "Why would I need anything?" Simone's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Just in case, Ms. Carter." Then the car pulled away, leaving Lena standing on the sidewalk with a business card and more questions than answers. She went upstairs, locked her door, and sat on her couch for 20 minutes before her phone buzzed. Marcus. Right. Marcus still existed, apparently. "We need to talk." She blocked his number without reading the rest, felt nothing doing it. The card from Simone sat on her coffee table, the number seeming to glow in the afternoon light. Lena picked it up, ran her thumb over the embossing, then tucked it into her wallet. Just in case of what, she had no idea. But something told her she'd find out. The next few days passed in a strange haze. Lena went to work. She was a graphic designer for a mid-sized marketing firm, and pretended everything was normal. Her coworkers noticed something was off but didn't push. Jess called repeatedly, and Lena gave her the sanitized version. Broke up with Marcus, having a rough time, didn't want to talk about it. She didn't mention Adrian Voss. Didn't know how to begin explaining that encounter, but she thought about it constantly. About his stillness, his voice, the way he'd looked at her like he could see straight through to something she didn't know she was hiding. She looked him up online, finally, 3 days after the restaurant. The search results made her blood run cold. Adrian Voss wasn't just some wealthy businessman. He was the wealthy businessman, at least in certain circles. Articles mentioned him in connection with real estate development, private security, international consulting. The language was always vague, always careful. The comments sections told a different story. Speculation, rumors, allegations that never seemed to stick. People said he was connected, that he had politicians in his pocket, that if you crossed him, you disappeared. Not literally, but professionally, financially, socially. One forum thread called him the Wolf and debated whether he was actually dangerous or just good at seeming that way. Lena closed her laptop and tried very hard not to think about the fact that she'd called this man pathetic. A week after the restaurant meeting, Marcus showed up at her apartment. She heard the knock and checked the peephole, groaning when she saw his face. Dark circles under his eyes, hair messier than usual. He looked rough, but she felt nothing. Not pity, not satisfaction, nothing. "Lena, please," he called through the door. "I know you're there. Just talk to me for 5 minutes." "Go away, Marcus. I love you." "You don't." "Let me prove it. Let me make this right." She leaned her forehead against the door, suddenly exhausted. "There's nothing to make right. It's over. Move on." 3 years? Meant nothing, apparently. You said so yourself. She meant nothing, which means I meant nothing. So let's both act like it and stop pretending. A long silence from the hallway. "I'm not giving up on us," Marcus finally said. "There is no us. There's you, and there's me, and we're done. Now leave before I call the police." She listened to him stand there for another minute, then finally heard his footsteps retreat. The building's front door slammed a few seconds later. Lena exhaled and walked away from the door, but the unsettled feeling followed her. Marcus showing up unannounced wasn't illegal, but it felt wrong. Like a boundary had been crossed. She picked up her phone and stared at it. Then, before she could overthink it, she pulled out Simone's card and dialed the number. It rang once. "Ms. Carter," Simone's voice like she'd been waiting for the call. "Is everything all right?" Yes, no, maybe." Lena sat down heavily on her couch. "My ex just showed up at my door." "Did he threaten you?" "Not exactly, but he won't leave me alone, and I don't know why I'm calling you. This is stupid." "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize." A pause. "Would you like him to stop bothering you?" The question was casual, too casual. "I don't want anyone hurt," Lena said quickly. "Of course not." Simone's tone didn't change. "I'll handle it. You won't hear from him again." "Wait, I didn't mean—" "It's already done, Ms. Carter. Have a good evening." The line went dead. Lena stared at her phone, heart racing. What had she just set in motion? She'd called expecting. What? Comfort? Advice? Not whatever that was. She tried calling back. The number went to a generic voicemail. "This is Lena Carter," she said after the beep. "About that call I just made. Tell whoever. Just don't hurt him. Please. Just make him leave me alone, but don't—" The beep cut her off. Message sent into the void. She didn't sleep that night. Kept checking the news for reports of Marcus being found in an alley somewhere. Her imagination ran wild with scenarios, each worse than the last. But morning came with nothing. No news, no calls, just silence. Until her phone buzzed at 8 a.m. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. "Hello?" "You asked us not to hurt him." Adrian's voice, unmistakable even though she'd only heard it that once. "We didn't." "What did you do?" "Explain that his presence in your life is no longer welcome." He understood. "How did you—" "You called Simone, she called me. I took care of it." Lena's hands shook. "I didn't ask you to do anything. I was scared and I called and now you're not scared." He He said it like a statement of fact. Are you? She thought about it, checked her fear, which had been a constant low hum since Marcus showed up. It was gone. In its place, something stranger, the sense that an invisible shield had appeared around her. No, she admitted quietly. Good. A pause. He won't bother you again, Lena. You have my word. Why are you doing this? The question hung between them across the phone line. Because you asked, Adrian said finally. And because people don't ask me for things often, usually they take or demand or try to manipulate. You just asked. I barely know you. That doesn't seem to matter much, does it? He had a point. Nothing about this made sense, yet here they were. Thank you, Lena said, because what else do you say to someone who's just made your problem disappear with a phone call? You're welcome. She could hear something in his voice, something that might have been a smile. Goodbye, Lena. Wait. But he'd already hung up. She stood in her kitchen, phone still pressed to her ear, and realized with a strange certainty that this wasn't the end of whatever strange thing had started with that wrong number text. It was just the beginning. Marcus didn't show up again, didn't call, didn't text, didn't send flowers with apology cards. It was like he'd evaporated from her life completely, leaving behind only the faint stain of 3 wasted years. Lena should have felt relieved. She did feel relieved. But underneath that relief lived something else, a creeping awareness that Adrian Voss had done something to make Marcus disappear so thoroughly. She didn't want to know what. Some questions were better left unasked. 2 weeks passed in relative peace. She threw herself into work, picked up extra projects, stayed late at the office because her apartment felt too quiet. Jess dragged her out for drinks one Friday night, and Lena almost felt normal again. Almost forgot about mysterious restaurant meetings and phone calls from men who could make problems vanish. Then the messages started. The first one came on a Tuesday morning. She was in line at her usual coffee shop, half awake and scrolling through emails, when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her chest tightened. The barista is going to get your order wrong. She'll put almond milk instead of oat. Might want to check. Lena stared at the message, looked up at the girl behind the counter who was indeed pouring almond milk into a cup. Her cup, based on the name scribbled on the side. Excuse me, Lena called out. I ordered oat milk. The barista checked her screen, apologized, dumped the drink, and started over. Lena's hands shook slightly as she typed back. How did you know that? The reply came immediately. I pay attention. No signature, no name. But she knew who it was. Are you watching me? Is that a problem? She should say yes, should be horrified, should probably call the police and report stalking. Instead, she found herself looking around the coffee shop, trying to spot him. The businessman in the corner reading the paper, the college student with headphones. Nobody looked like Adrian Voss. Where are you? She typed. Somewhere I can see you. A chill ran down her spine that wasn't entirely fear. This is creepy. This is protection. There's a difference. I didn't ask for protection. You called Simone. You asked for help. I'm helping. Lena grabbed her corrected coffee and walked outside, still scanning faces. Still not finding him. By spying on me? By making sure you're safe. From what? Marcus is gone. You made sure of that. A longer pause this time, then, from anything that might hurt you. She stood on the sidewalk, people streaming past, and realized she was smiling, actually smiling at her phone like a teenager with a crush. What was wrong with her? I have to go to work, she typed. I know, you're going to be late if you keep texting me. Then stop texting me. You stopped first. It was absurd, ridiculous. She was having a playful text exchange with a man who'd essentially kidnapped her 2 weeks ago. A man whose internet presence came with more red flags than a communist parade. Goodbye, Adrian. Goodbye, Lena. She pocketed her phone and walked to the subway, and the whole way there she felt eyes on her back. Not threatening, just present, like a shadow that had decided to be useful. The messages kept coming. Never invasive, never quite crossing a line she could articulate, but constant. A steady stream of observations that proved he was paying closer attention to her life than anyone ever had. The client meeting today is going to run long. Might want to cancel your lunch plans. He was right. The meeting ran 90 minutes over. Your coworker Sarah is going to ask to borrow money. She won't pay you back. Right again. Lena politely declined. Take the long way home tonight. Construction on your usual route. There was construction. She would have hit traffic. It should have been terrifying. Should have sent her running to the police, to Jess, to anyone. Instead, she found herself looking forward to the messages, started checking her phone more often, felt disappointed when an hour passed without hearing from him. You're smiling at your phone a lot lately, Jess observed over lunch one Saturday. They were at their favorite brunch spot, mimosas half gone, and Lena had just checked her messages for the third time in 10 minutes. Am I? Is. You are. New guy? Lena's stomach flipped. No, just work stuff. Work stuff makes you smile like that? What kind of work are you doing? Boring graphic design, nothing exciting. Jess narrowed her eyes but didn't push. They'd been friends long enough that she knew when to let something go. Lena's phone buzzed. She tried not to grab it too quickly. The woman 2 tables to your left is about to propose to her girlfriend. Might want to have your camera ready. Lena glanced over casually. Saw a nervous-looking woman fidgeting with something in her pocket. Slowly pulled out her phone and opened the camera. 30 seconds later, the woman dropped to one knee. The restaurant erupted in applause. Lena caught the whole thing on video. How did you know? She texted under the table. I notice things. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. Earth to Lena. Jess waved a hand in front of her face. You completely zoned out. Sorry. Jess set down her fork, expression shifting to serious. Okay, what's going on? And don't say nothing because you've been weird for weeks. Is this about Marcus? No, Marcus is gone. Gone how? Just gone. Out of my life. Finally. Did you guys talk? Get closure or whatever? Lena thought about Adrian's phone call. He won't bother you again. You have my word. Something like that, she said. Jess studied her face. You're being weird. I'm fine. That's what you always say when you're not fine. Jess, I'm just worried about you. The breakup, the radio silence. Now you're glued to your phone and smiling at nothing. If there's something going on, you can tell me. Lena wanted to explain the whole insane situation, wrong number, mysterious summons, messages from a man who seemed to know everything. But how could she explain what she didn't fully understand herself? There's someone, she admitted finally. Kind of. It's complicated. Jess's eyes lit up. Complicated how? Married? Your boss? A woman? None of those things. Just complicated. Does complicated have a name? Adrian. Adrian, Jess repeated, testing it out. Okay, tell me about Adrian. There's not much to tell. We're just talking, texting mostly. How'd you meet? Lena's mind raced. Through work came out before she could think of anything better. He's a client? Something like that. And you're into him? Was she? Lena examined her feelings like they were specimens under glass. The way her heart rate picked up when her phone buzzed. The constant awareness of being watched over. The strange comfort in knowing someone was paying attention. I don't know, she said honestly. Maybe. I don't really know him. But you want to. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Jess grinned. You're into him, finally. I was worried Marcus broke you. Marcus didn't break me. He didn't help either. Jess raised her mimosa. To Adrian, may he be better than the last one. That's a low bar. Then he should have no trouble clearing it. They clinked glasses, and Lena tried to ignore the guilt of lying to her best friend, tried to ignore the small voice pointing out that she was getting involved with something, someone she didn't understand and probably shouldn't trust. Her phone buzzed again. You should try the lemon ricotta pancakes next time you come here. They're better than what you ordered. She looked around the restaurant again, more carefully this time, still couldn't spot him. But he was watching, always watching. Are you ever going to tell me where you are when you send these messages? No. Why not? Because then you'd be looking for me instead of living your life. Maybe I want to look for you. A long pause. Long enough that Lena thought maybe she'd pushed too far. Then, not yet. When? When it's time, cryptic as always, frustrating as always. And yet she was smiling again. There's that look, Jess said. He's texting you right now, isn't he? Lena put the phone face down on the table. We're having brunch. I'm here with you. Uh-huh, sure. They finished eating, split the check, hugged goodbye on the sidewalk. Lena watched Jess disappear into the subway before pulling out her phone. Thank you, she typed. For what? For not telling me my best friend was going to interrogate me about you. I didn't know she would. Liar. You know everything. Not everything, just what matters. And what matters? You do. Her breath caught. She read the message 3 times, looking for some other interpretation, but the words stayed stubbornly simple. Adrian, go home, Lena. Get some rest. You've been working too hard. How would you know? I told you. I pay attention. She did go home. Spent the rest of the weekend trying not to think about Adrian Voss, which meant she thought about nothing else. Went over every message, looking for clues about who he really was, what he wanted, why he'd decided she was worth this much attention. Monday brought a new wrinkle. She was leaving work late, the sky already dark, when she noticed the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked across the street. It pulled away from the curb when she started walking. Followed her. Not obviously. The driver kept a careful distance, but Lena had spent enough time being aware of her surroundings lately to notice. Her heart hammered as she walked faster. The car matched her pace. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. There's a car following me. Adrian's response came in seconds. I know. It's mine. Relief and anger flooded through her in equal measure. You're having me followed? I told you. Protection. This isn't protection, it's stalking. The difference is intent. I'm not following you to hurt you. You can't just... This isn't normal. I never claimed to be normal. Lena stopped walking. The car stopped too, engine idling quietly. She stared at it, trying to see through the tinted windows. Tell them to stop, she typed. No. Adrian, someone tried to break into your building last night. 2nd floor apartment, 3 doors from yours. The police response time was 11 minutes. A lot can happen in 11 minutes. Ice slid down her spine. She hadn't heard about any break-in. How do you know that? Because I pay attention. Because I make it my business to know what happens in the places you live, work, exist. You can be angry about it if you want, but you'll be angry and safe. She should be furious, should tell him to back off, leave her alone, stop inserting himself into her life like he had some right to be there. But standing on a dark street with a strange car idling nearby, all she felt was an uncomfortable mix of gratitude and something she refused to name. I don't need a babysitter. Then consider it peace of mind. Mine, not yours. Why do you care? The question she'd been building towards since this started. The one that didn't make sense no matter how many times she turned it over. Because I want to, he wrote back. Is that not enough? People don't just do things because they want to. There's always a reason. Maybe you're the reason. Her chest tightened. This was getting dangerous. Not physically, though maybe that too, but emotionally. She was starting to look forward to his messages, starting to feel safe because of him, starting to think about him at odd moments throughout the day, starting to want something she knew she shouldn't. I'm going home now, she typed. I know. The car will make sure you get there safely. And then what? And then you go inside, lock your door, and try to get some sleep. You haven't been sleeping well. Of course he knew that too. The walk home took 15 minutes. The car followed the entire way, a silent shadow. When she reached her building, it didn't pull away. Just sat there, engine running, while she climbed the steps and unlocked the door. She paused in the doorway, looked back. The windows were too dark to see through, but she knew someone was watching. She raised her hand in a small wave. The headlights flashed once. Then the car pulled away, disappearing into traffic. Lena went inside and locked the door like he'd told her to. Stood in her apartment and tried to figure out what she was doing. What any of this was. Her phone buzzed. Good night, Lena. Good night, she typed back. Then, before she could think better of it, thank you. You don't have to thank me. I want to. Then you're welcome. She fell asleep with her phone on the pillow beside her, and if she dreamed about dark cars and darker eyes, she didn't remember in the morning. The pattern continued, messages throughout the day. The car following at a discreet distance when she was out after dark. It should have felt oppressive. Instead, it felt like being wrapped in something she couldn't name. A week later, things shifted again. She was working late at the office, a big pitch due the next day, the whole design team grinding through revisions, when her phone rang. Not a text. An actual call. Adrian's number, which she'd saved despite telling herself not to. Hello? There's a package being delivered to your office. His voice sounded different over the phone, lower, more intimate. Don't open it. Lena looked up. Through the glass walls of the conference room, she could see the receptionist signing for something. What is it? I don't know. That's the problem. If you don't know what it is, how do you know I shouldn't open it? Because you didn't order anything. Because it's being delivered at 9 p.m. to an office that should be closed. Because the sender used a company that doesn't exist. The receptionist was walking toward the conference room, package in hand. What should I do? Lena asked quietly. Leave. Now. I'll take care of it. Adrian, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. This is what careful looks like. The receptionist knocked on the glass. Lena held up one finger. Just a minute. I can't just leave, she whispered. I have work. Your work doesn't matter if you're hurt. Leave through the south exit. There's a car waiting. How is there already? Because I'm always prepared for the worst. Now move. Something in his tone bypassed her rational mind completely. She grabbed her bag, muttered an excuse to her confused coworkers about feeling sick, and headed for the south stairwell. The receptionist called after her about the package. Lena kept walking. Outside, a car waited exactly where Adrian said it would, different from the one that usually followed her. Larger, more doors. The back door opened. Simone looked out. Ms. Carter. Lena got in before her brain could catch up with her body. The car pulled away immediately. What's happening? Lena asked. Adrian said, Mr. Voss is handling the situation. I'm taking you somewhere safe until we know more. Safe from what? Simone met her eyes in the rearview mirror. We're not sure yet, but Mr. Voss doesn't take chances with your safety. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving downtown behind. The buildings got shorter, the streets quieter. Finally pulled up to a hotel Lena recognized. Expensive, discreet, the kind of place celebrities stayed when they didn't want to be noticed. Simone handed her a key card. 7th floor, suite 714. Don't open the door for anyone except Mr. Voss or myself. How long? Until we know it's safe. There's food in the room. Anything you need, call the front desk and ask for concierge. They'll bring it up. Lena took the key with numb fingers. This is insane. This is necessary. Simone's expression softened slightly. He's trying to protect you. From a package? From whatever someone thought they could send you in that package. The words settled like lead in Lena's stomach. She got out of the car and walked into the hotel on autopilot. The lobby was elegant, hushed, the kind of quiet that money bought. Nobody questioned her appearance. The elevator carried her smoothly to the 7th floor. Suite 714 was nicer than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, king bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. A sitting area, a kitchenette stocked with expensive-looking food. Lena stood in the middle of all that luxury and realized she was shaking. Her phone rang. Adrian. Are you in the room? Yes. Lock the door. She did. Good. You're safe there. What was in the package, Adrian? A pause. We're still examining it, but you think... I think someone wanted to send you a message. I'm finding out who and why. This is because of you, isn't it? The words came out sharper than intended. Because of whatever it is you do. Someone's targeting me to get to you. Possibly. Possibly? That's all you have to say? I'm handling it. By hiding me in a hotel room? By keeping you alive. His voice hardened, which is more important to me than your independence right now. Lena sat down heavily on the bed. I didn't ask for this, any of this. I know. Then why? Because the alternative is letting something happen to you, and I won't. He said it with the kind of finality that allowed no argument. "Stay in the room, Lena. I'll come to you when it's safe." "When will that be?" "Soon, I promise." The line went dead. Lena dropped her phone on the bed and put her head in her hands. This was what she got for getting involved with a man whose name came with warnings. For thinking mysterious messages were romantic instead of red flags. For letting herself feel safe in the orbit of someone who was clearly dangerous. Her phone buzzed. A text this time. "I'm sorry." She stared at it. Adrian Voss didn't seem like the apologizing type. For what? For bringing this into your life. You deserve better than hiding in hotels because of me. Then let me go. Stop watching me. Stop sending cars. Just let me live normally. She watched the typing indicator appear and disappear 3 times before his response came. "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I tried. For the first week after we met, I tried to forget about you. Tried to let it go. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw you sitting in that restaurant, looking at me like I was something you could figure out if you just paid enough attention. Nobody looks at me like that, like I'm a puzzle instead of a threat." Lena's throat tightened. "What am I to you?" she typed. "I don't know. Something important. Something I can't afford to lose. You don't even know me. I know you take your coffee with oat milk and too much sugar. I know you stay late at work 3 nights a week because you hate going home to an empty apartment. I know you have nightmares about your mother's death 6 years ago and you never talk about it. I know you're scared of me, but not scared enough to run. I know more about you than you think." Tears blurred her vision. He was right. She should run. Should have run the moment this started. But here she was, in a hotel room, waiting for a dangerous man to tell her it was safe to go home. "This is crazy," she wrote. "I know. I should leave. Block your number. Pretend this never happened. You should, but I won't. I know that too." She wiped her eyes, angry at herself for crying, for caring, for letting this stranger become someone who mattered. "Tell me when I can go home," she typed. "Tomorrow, after I've confirmed the threat is handled. And then what? And then we figure this out, together, if you want." Did she want that? Lena stared at the message, at the offer embedded in those simple words. To step fully into whatever this was with eyes open. To stop pretending she didn't feel the pull of it. "I want," she typed before she could reconsider. "Good. Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. Promise?" "I promise." She curled up on the expensive bed, still fully dressed, and pulled the covers over herself. Outside the windows, the city glowed. Somewhere in it, Adrian was dealing with whoever had sent that package, protecting her from threats she didn't fully understand. And despite everything, the fear, the confusion, the sheer insanity of it all, she felt safer than she had in years. Her phone buzzed one last time. "Sleep, Lena. I'm watching." She fell asleep with those words glowing in the dark. Morning came too bright through windows she'd forgotten to close. Lena woke disoriented, the unfamiliar weight of luxury sheets reminding her where she was and why. The hotel room looked different in daylight, less like a sanctuary, more like a very expensive cage. Her phone showed 3 messages, all from Adrian. The package was empty. Just a box. A warning. "You can go home today, but not alone. I'm coming to get you. Be ready by noon." She checked the time. 11:45, 15 minutes. Lena stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on her face, tried to make herself look less like someone who'd slept in their clothes. Failed. The mirror showed dark circles, wrinkled shirt, hair that had given up entirely. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman in over her head. The knock came at exactly noon. She checked the peephole out of habit, though she knew who it would be. Adrian stood in the hallway, different from the restaurant meeting. No suit jacket, just dark slacks, and a charcoal sweater that made him look almost human. Almost. The eyes were the same, focused, intense, like he was reading her through the door. She opened it. They stared at each other for a long moment. This was the first time they'd been face to face since that initial meeting, and Lena felt the weight of all those messages between them. All those small intimacies shared through screens suddenly made real by proximity. "You look tired," he said finally. "You look like someone who sent me to a hotel room with no warning." His mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "Fair. Can I go home now?" Yes, but we need to talk first. So talk. He glanced down the hallway, then back at her. Not here. Downstairs. I bought us breakfast. I'm not hungry. You didn't eat last night. You need food. How do you... She stopped herself. Right. You know everything. Not everything, just what matters. He'd said that before, in a text. Hearing it spoken aloud felt different, more real, more dangerous. Lena grabbed her bag and followed him to the elevator. They rode down in silence, standing on opposite sides of the car, carefully not touching. The air between them felt charged with things neither was saying. The hotel restaurant was mostly empty, late breakfast crowd already gone. Adrian had a corner table, private, with a view of the entrance. Always watching, she realized. Always aware of exits and threats. 2 plates waited. Eggs, toast, fruit, coffee already poured. You ordered for me, Lena said. You like scrambled eggs, no cheese. That's creepy, she wanted to say, but it wasn't quite. Just another example of the relentless attention he paid to her existence. Thank you. They sat. Lena picked at her food while Adrian watched her with that unreadable expression. The package, she started. You said it was empty. It was. Just a box with your name on it. So what was the point? To let me know someone knows about you, that they can reach you. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. It's a message. For me. What kind of message? The kind that says I have a weakness now, something they can use. Lena set down her fork. I'm your weakness? Apparently. How? We barely know each other. We know each other well enough that I put you in a hotel room instead of letting you go home alone. Well enough that I spent last night tracking down who sent that package and making very clear what happens if they try again. He leaned forward slightly. Well enough that the thought of something happening to you makes me want to burn things down. The words hung between them, raw and honest in a way that made Lena's chest tight. Who are you? She asked quietly. Really? You know who I am. You looked me up. I know what the internet says, real estate, consulting, political connections, but that's not the whole story, is it? Adrian studied her face. No. So tell me the rest. Why? So you can run? Maybe I deserve to know what I'm running from. He sat back, considering, then pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. A photo filled the screen, young Adrian, maybe 25, standing with an older man who had the same dark eyes. Both in expensive suits, both with expressions that gave nothing away. My father, Adrian said. He built an empire out of knowing the right people and making the right threats. Legal business on the surface, everything else underneath. When he died 5 years ago, I inherited it all. Everything else meaning what? Meaning I know people who move money that doesn't want to be traced. I know people who make problems disappear. I know judges, politicians, police chiefs, people who owe me favors or know better than to refuse them. He took the phone back. I'm not a criminal, but I exist in the spaces where legal and illegal blur together. Lena's hands felt cold. And someone in that world sent me a warning package. Yes, because they think I matter to you. Because you do matter to me. He said it like a fact, simple and undeniable. And that makes you vulnerable. So what do? Hide forever? No, you live your life, and I make sure nobody touches you while you do it. That's not living. That's being in a prettier cage. It's survival. His voice hardened. You don't understand the people I deal with, what they're capable of. I've seen men tortured for owing money, women trafficked for being in the wrong place, children. He stopped, jaw clenching. You don't understand, and I'm trying to keep it that way. By controlling my entire life? By protecting it. Same thing. Not even close. They glared at each other across the table. Lena's heart hammered, but not from fear, from frustration, from the terrible attraction she felt even now, from the realization that she was arguing with him instead of running like any sensible person would. I didn't ask for this, she said again, softer this time. I know. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. If you're sorry, let me go. I told you I can't. Can't or won't. His eyes darkened. What's the difference? One's about ability, one's about choice. Then it's both. He leaned forward again, and she could smell something faintly spicy on him. Cologne, maybe, or just him. I physically cannot make myself stop caring if you're safe, and I choose not to try anymore. Lena's breath caught. This is insane. I know. I should leave, right now, walk out of here and never look back. You should. Stop agreeing with me. Stop saying things I agree with. She almost laughed. Would have if the situation weren't so completely absurd. Here she was, eating breakfast with the man who'd just admitted to being adjacent to organized crime, who'd put her in protective custody over an empty box, who was looking at her like she was the only thing in the room worth seeing, and she was still sitting here. What do you want from me, Adrian? The question seemed to catch him off guard. He sat back, and for the first time since she'd met him, looked uncertain. I don't know, he admitted. I didn't plan this. Any of it. You were supposed to be a wrong number. I ignored. But then you showed up at that restaurant looking terrified but trying not to show it, and you called me pathetic without knowing who I was, and I... He stopped, started again. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Lena pushed her plate away, appetite completely gone. Take me home. Lena, please, just take me home. I need to think. Something flickered across his face. Disappointment, maybe, or resignation. But he nodded and stood, leaving cash on the table, even though Lena was certain he'd already paid. The drive back to her apartment was quiet. Adrian drove himself this time, a sleek black car that probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. His hands on the wheel were steady, controlled, like everything else about him. The car that's been following you, he said as they pulled up to her building. It'll still be there, for now. How long is for now? Until I'm certain the threat is handled. And if I tell you I don't want it there, then it'll be there anyway, just less obviously. Lena unbuckled her seatbelt but didn't get out. You know this is crazy, right? All of it? Yes. And you're doing it anyway. Yes. She turned to look at him, really look at him. The sharp lines of his face, the controlled stillness, the eyes that never stopped watching. He was handsome in a severe way, like a knife was handsome, beautiful and dangerous. What happens now, she asked. You go inside. Think about whether you want this. Me, the complications, all of it. And I wait to see what you decide. And if I decide I don't want it? His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, just for a second. Then I'll try to respect that, from a distance. Try? I'm being honest. I don't know if I can let go completely, but I'll try. It should have been threatening. Should have sent her running. Instead, Lena found herself reaching across the console and touching his hand. Just her fingers on his, the first physical contact they'd had beyond a handshake. He went completely still. I need time, she said. Take as much as you need. But keep sending me messages. Not the surveillance updates. Just talk to me, like you have been. His hand turned under hers, palm up, and his fingers curled around hers. Strong, warm, real. I can do that, he said quietly. Lena pulled away and got out of the car before she could do something stupid like kiss him. Before she could admit that she'd already made her decision and was just pretending she hadn't. She made it halfway up the steps before he called her name. Lena. She turned. He'd gotten out of the car, standing beside it like he wasn't sure whether to come closer or keep his distance. Be careful, he said. Of what? Everything. Everyone. Trust your instincts. My instincts tell me you're dangerous. They're right. And that I should run. Also right. But I'm not going to. Something that might have been relief crossed his face. I know. She went inside before either of them could say anything else, climbed the stairs to her apartment on shaking legs, locked the door and leaned against it, trying to process everything that had just happened. Her phone buzzed almost immediately. You made it inside, okay? You watched me go in? I always watch. That should bother me more than it does. But it doesn't. Not as much as it should. She could almost see him smile. Get some rest. Real rest, in your own bed. Are you going to tell me you know I haven't been sleeping well in my own bed either? You talk in your sleep sometimes. You say your mother's name. Lena's throat tightened. She'd forgotten about the nightmares, the ones that came and went in waves. Her mother's death 6 years ago in a car accident she couldn't prevent, couldn't save her from. How do you know that? The night you called Simone about Marcus. You fell asleep before you hung up. I listened to make sure you were okay. It should have been invasive, should have been a violation. Instead, all Lena felt was a strange ache in her chest. You're too much, she typed. I know. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Stop making me want to apologize. She smiled despite everything. Despite the insanity, despite the fear, despite knowing she was falling for someone she barely understood. Good night, Adrian. It's 1 p.m. Then good afternoon. Good afternoon, Lena. Sleep well. She did sleep, falling into bed fully clothed for the second time in as many days. No dreams this time, just deep, empty rest. When she woke, it was dark outside. Her phone showed 7 p.m. and a dozen messages, 2 from Jess, 3 from work, the rest from Adrian. She read his first. You've been asleep for 5 hours. I'm resisting the urge to check on you. Still asleep. This is getting difficult. Okay, I sent someone to verify your breathing. You are. They're leaving now. Don't be mad. You're going to be mad. Lena laughed out loud, alone in her apartment, at the idea of Adrian Voss getting anxious over her taking a nap. I'm awake, she typed. And yes, I'm mad. But also not mad. It's confusing. You're confusing. Right back at you. Fair. Did you think about what I asked? You didn't ask anything. You told me to think about whether I want this. And? Lena stared at that single word for a long time. This was the moment. She could end it here, tell him she wanted out, try to go back to her normal life. Except her normal life hadn't been that great, had it? Just work and empty apartments and a boyfriend who'd cheated because she was easy to fool. Adrian might be dangerous, might be involved in things she didn't understand, might be watching her every move, but he'd never lied to her, never pretended to be something he wasn't, and in his own intense, overwhelming way, he made her feel seen. I want this, she typed. Whatever this is, I want it. The typing indicator appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again, like he was trying to find the right words and failing. Finally, are you sure? No. But I'm doing it anyway. You could get hurt. I'm already hurt. At least this way it's my choice. Another long pause. Okay, then we do this right. What does that mean? It means I take you to dinner tomorrow night, somewhere public, like normal people. You're not normal people. I'll pretend for a few hours. Lena smiled. Okay, dinner. Tomorrow. I'll pick you up at 7. No mysterious cars and empty restaurants. Real restaurant. Real reservation. I'll even let you see me walk in the front door. Progress. Don't get used to it. She spent the rest of the evening in a strange state of anticipation and anxiety. Called Jess back and lied about being sick, which was getting easier and felt worse each time. Responded to work emails. Tried to figure out what you wore to dinner with someone who existed half in shadow. The next day crawled by. Lena went to work, pushed through meetings, pretended to focus on design revisions. Her coworkers asked if she was feeling better. She said yes, and wondered if that was true. Adrian's messages came sporadically through the day, normal things that felt almost mundane. The coffee shop near your office is out of oat milk. They won't restock until tomorrow. There's a better route home tonight. Construction on 5th. Your coworker Sarah is going to ask about covering her shift Friday. You don't owe her anything. Each one was a small reminder that he was there, watching, paying attention. Each one made her chest feel tight in a way that wasn't entirely uncomfortable. At 6 p.m., she left work early for the first time in months. Went home and stared at her closet like it held answers. Finally settled on a simple navy dress, not too formal, not too casual. Did her makeup carefully. Straightened her hair. Looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the nervous woman staring back. Her phone buzzed at 6:55. I'm outside. Lena grabbed her bag, checked herself one more time, and went downstairs. Adrian stood beside his car, and for a second she forgot how to breathe. He'd dressed up, still dark colors, but a suit this time, perfectly tailored, making him look like he'd stepped out of some magazine spread. His eyes found hers immediately, and something in his expression shifted, softened. "You look beautiful," he said. "You clean up okay yourself." That almost smile appeared. He opened the car door for her, and she got in, hyper-aware of how close he was, how his cologne smelled like smoke and cedar. The restaurant was downtown, the kind of place with cloth napkins and a wine list longer than the menu. Adrian had reserved a quiet corner table, away from most of the crowd, but with a clear view of the entrance, always watching. They ordered. Wine came. Lena took a sip and tried to remember how to make conversation with someone she'd never actually had a normal interaction with. "This is weird," she said finally. "What is?" "This, sitting across from you at a regular table, talking face to face instead of through screens. Bad weird or good weird?" "I'm not sure yet." Adrian picked up his wine glass, studying the dark liquid. "I'm not good at this." "At what?" "Normal. Dating. Pretending I'm someone who takes women to dinner without an agenda." "Do you have an agenda tonight?" "Yes." Her heart skipped. "What is it?" "To convince you I'm worth the risk." He met her eyes. "To show you that whatever this is, it's real. Not just surveillance and protection, not just messages." "And how do you plan to do that?" "By being honest, and hoping that's enough." The food came before Lena could respond. They ate in relative silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. More like they were both feeling out this new dynamic, this face-to-face reality after weeks of digital distance. "Tell me something real," Lena said after a while. "Something you haven't told me in a text." Adrian set down his fork, considered. "I don't sleep much. Haven't for years. 2-3 hours a night, maybe. I spend the rest of the time working or watching the city or—" He stopped. "Or what?" "Or thinking about you, lately." Heat crept up Lena's neck. "That's not enough sleep." "I don't need much." "Everyone needs sleep?" "Then I'm not everyone." She rolled her eyes. Clearly. "Your turn. Tell me something I don't know." Lena thought about it. What could she say that he hadn't already observed? "I'm scared," she admitted. "Of this. Of you. Of what happens if I let myself fall for someone who lives the way you do." "You should be scared." "That's not reassuring." "I'm not trying to reassure you. I'm trying to be honest." He leaned forward. "I'm scared too." "Of what?" "Of hurting you. Of pulling you into something that destroys what I like about you. Of wanting you too much to make smart decisions." His jaw tightened. "Of what I'd do if someone tried to take you away from me." The words settled between them, heavy with implication. "Adrian." Her phone rang, cutting through the moment, Jess's name on the screen. Lena almost declined, but something made her answer. "Hey, now's not a great— Are you home?" Jess's voice was tight, scared. "No, I'm at dinner. Why?" "Because there's someone at your building, asking about you. The landlord called me. You had me listed as emergency contact, remember? He said some guy was trying to get into your apartment, and—" Adrian was already on his feet, throwing cash on the table. His phone was out, typing something quickly. "Jess, I'm fine. I'm not there. Tell the landlord to call the police." "He already did." "Lena, what's going on? Who would—" "I'll explain later. I have to go." She hung up. Adrian had her elbow, guiding her toward the exit. "My people are already en route," he said. "The car following you will handle it." "Handle what? Who?" "I don't know yet, but we're not taking chances." They were in the car seconds later, Adrian driving faster than he should through downtown traffic. His jaw was set, eyes hard, and Lena saw for the first time what he looked like when something threatened what he protected. Dangerous didn't begin to cover it. "Adrian, slow down." "No. We don't even know—" "Someone tried to break into your apartment. Someone who knows where you live. That's all I need to know." His phone rang. He answered on speaker. "Talk to me." Simone's voice. "Subject is male, late 20s, fled when the landlord confronted him. We have him on the street camera footage, running facial recognition now. Keep me updated." "There's something else. He left something at her door." Adrian's hands tightened on the wheel. "What?" "A photo of Ms. Carter. Taken yesterday outside her office building. Lena's stomach dropped. Yesterday. After Adrian had taken her to the hotel. Someone had been watching her. Find him, Adrian said, voice like cut glass. I want a name and location in the next hour. Already on it. The line disconnected. They pulled up to Lena's building where 2 police cars sat with lights flashing. A small crowd had gathered. Stay in the car, Adrian ordered. It's my apartment, and it's my job to make sure you're safe. Stay. Here. He was out before she could argue, striding toward the building with that predatory grace that made people step back instinctively. Lena watched through the window as he spoke with the officers, showing them something on his phone. Whatever he said made them nod, defer to him like he had authority here. Maybe he did. She was starting to realize just how much reach he had. 10 minutes later, he returned, slid into the driver's seat and handed her a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a photo, Lena leaving her office building, clearly taken with a long lens. On the back, written in red marker, "Pretty target." She stopped breathing. "You're not going home tonight, Vic," Adrian said. "Not until we know who this is and what they want. You can't just—" "I can, and I am." He started the car. "You have 2 choices. The hotel again, or you come home with me." "That's not 2 choices, those are your options. Pick one." Lena stared at the photo, at the words scrawled on the back, and felt fear spike through her anger. "Your place," she said quietly. If Adrian was surprised, he didn't show it, just nodded and pulled away from the curb, leaving her building and the police and any semblance of normal life behind. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving the city center for a quieter neighborhood with tree-lined streets and buildings that whispered old money. Adrian pulled into an underground garage beneath a modern high-rise, using a key card to access it. The elevator required another key card. It took them to the top floor. The doors opened directly into his apartment, penthouse, Lena corrected mentally. The entire top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the whole city. Minimalist furniture, all clean lines and dark colors. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than everything she owned. "Guest room is down that hall," Adrian said, pointing. "Second door. There's clothes in the closet. Should be something that fits. Bathroom attached." Lena didn't move, just stood in his entryway, still holding that evidence bag, trying to process how quickly her life had spiraled. "Hey," Adrian's hand on her shoulder, gentle. "Look at me." She did. "You're safe here, I promise. Nobody gets through that door without going through me first. Someone's targeting me because of you. I know, and I'll fix it." "How?" His eyes went cold. "However I have to." That should have scared her. Maybe it did. But mostly, she just felt exhausted. "I need to call Jess. She's worried. Tell her you're staying with a friend. Don't mention me or where you are. She's going to ask questions. Then lie." He said it matter-of-factly, like lying to your best friend was just standard procedure. Maybe in his world, it was. Lena went to the guest room, which was bigger than her entire apartment, called Jess and fed her half-truths about staying with a coworker, about the police handling things, about being fine. Jess didn't buy it, but didn't push. When she emerged, Adrian was standing by the windows, phone to his ear, speaking in a low voice. He hung up when he saw her. "We have a name. Marcus Chen." It took a second for the name to register. Then, "Marcus? Marcus? Apparently not as gone as we thought. But you told me he wouldn't bother me again. I told him what would happen if he contacted you. I didn't account for him being stupid enough to escalate to stalking." Adrian's expression was carved from stone. "That's on me." Lena sat down heavily on the couch. Marcus. All of this because Marcus couldn't accept that she'd moved on? That she'd found someone else? "What are you going to do?" she asked. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. "What do you want me to do?" "I don't—" She stopped, started again. "I don't want him hurt. I just want him gone. Really gone this time." "Okay. That's it? Okay? You asked. I'm listening. And if I'd said I wanted you to, I don't know, make him disappear?" Something flickered in Adrian's eyes. then I would have made him disappear. The casual way he said it made Lena's skin prickle. This was who he was. This was the reality she'd chosen. Make him go away, she said finally. Somewhere far. Somewhere he can't come back from easily. But don't hurt him. Adrian pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. Done. He'll be on a flight to Seattle by morning with a job offer he can't refuse and a very clear understanding of what happens if he comes back. Just like that? Just like that. Lena laughed, slightly hysterical. You're terrifying. I know. And I'm sitting in your apartment like this is normal. Is it? I don't know what normal is anymore. Adrian crossed the room and sat beside her on the couch. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel the heat of him. You can still leave, he said quietly. After tonight. After I make sure Marcus is handled and you're safe. You can walk away and I'll let you go. Will you, though? I'll try. That's what you said before. And I meant it then, too. Lena turned to look at him, really look at him. This dangerous man who'd upended her entire life over a wrong number text, who watched her sleep and tracked her movements and moved people around like chess pieces, who looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying all at once. I don't want to leave, she said. His expression shifted. Lena, I should. I know I should, but I don't want to. She reached out and touched his face, feeling the rough edge of stubble against her palm. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. His hand came up to cover hers. You're just brave enough to want something dangerous. Or stupid enough. Maybe both. She laughed and he smiled, actually smiled, full and real and devastating. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't tentative. It was fierce and claiming and desperate, like he'd been holding back for weeks and finally couldn't anymore. Lena kissed him back just as hard, pouring all her confusion and fear and want into it. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian pressed his forehead to hers. Stay, he said. Not just tonight. Stay. That's crazy. I know. We barely know each other. I know that too. Adrian, stay anyway. Figure it out with me. Let me keep you safe while you decide if this is something you can live with. Lena closed her eyes, felt his breath on her face, his hand still covering hers, felt the truth settle in her chest like a weight. She was already in too deep to back out now. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. His arms came around her, pulling her close, and for the first time since that wrong number text, Lena felt like maybe the mistake had been leading somewhere right all along. They stayed on that couch for a long time, wrapped up in each other while the city glittered below. Lena's head rested on Adrian's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. It was slower than she'd expected, calmer, like even his body was controlled, measured. I should call work, she said eventually. Tell them I won't be in tomorrow. Already handled. She pulled back to look at him. How is it already handled? I didn't tell you where I work. Lena. He said her name like it explained everything. Right, you know everything. She should have been annoyed. Wasn't. What did you tell them? Simone called, said you had a family emergency and would be out for a few days. I don't have family. They don't know that. His hand traced absent patterns on her shoulder. You needed time. I bought it for you. Just like that. Just like that. Lena closed her eyes, overwhelmed by how easy everything became when Adrian decided to fix it. How simple her complicated life got when he applied his particular brand of control to it. It should have felt suffocating. Instead, it felt like someone had finally taken some of the weight she'd been carrying alone. What happens now? She asked. Now you sleep, real sleep, in an actual bed. I meant with Marcus, with whoever sent that package, with all of it. Adrian was quiet for a moment, his hand stilled on her shoulder. Now I make sure everyone knows what happens when they try to use you against me. The words were soft, almost gentle. They terrified her anyway. Don't hurt anyone. I won't hurt anyone who doesn't deserve it. Adrian? Lena. He tilted her face up to meet his eyes. I need you to understand something. I've built what I have by being very clear about boundaries, about consequences. Someone crossed a line tonight. If I don't respond, it sends a message that you're vulnerable, that I'm weak. And in my world, weakness gets people killed. So what are you going to do? What I always do. Make an example. Make it clear that touching you means going through me. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. But I'll do it my way. No blood. Just pressure in the right places until they break. She should have asked more. Should have demanded specifics. But exhaustion was pulling at her, and some part of her didn't want to know the details. Wanted to let Adrian handle the darkness, while she stayed in whatever light he carved out for her. I'm too tired to be scared right now, she admitted. Then sleep. I'll be scared for both of us. You're never scared. I'm terrified. I just don't show it. Something about that honesty broke through her remaining defenses. Lena kissed him again, slower this time, trying to communicate things she didn't have words for. He kissed her back like she was air and he'd been drowning. When they finally pulled apart, he stood and offered his hand. Come on. Guest room. Before I forget how to be decent. What if I don't want you to be decent? His eyes darkened. Don't say things like that unless you mean them. I mean them. Lena, I know, too fast, too soon, too complicated. She let him pull her to her feet. I'll take the guest room. He walked her down the hall, opened the door to a room that was somehow both luxurious and impersonal, like a very expensive hotel. Lena wondered if anyone had ever actually slept here. There's clothes in the closet, Adrian said. Should be something that fits. If you need anything, where's your room? He pointed down the hall. But I know, guest room. I got it. She stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. Good night, Adrian. He looked like he wanted to say something else. Didn't. Just nodded and walked away, and Lena watched him go before closing the door. The closet held an array of women's clothes in various sizes, all expensive, all with the tags still on. She tried not to think too hard about why Adrian had a collection of never-worn women's clothing, found a soft t-shirt that was probably meant to be fitted but hung loose on her frame. The bed was absurdly comfortable. Lena sank into it and was asleep within minutes. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. For a disorienting moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all came back, the photo, Marcus, Adrian's apartment, the kiss. Her phone showed 8 a.m. and 3 messages from Adrian. Coffee's in the kitchen, mugs in the cabinet above the machine. I had to go out, business. I'll be back by noon. Don't leave the apartment. That last one wasn't a request. Lena bristled instinctively at being given orders, but the memory of that photo killed her indignation. Someone knew where she lived, had taken pictures of her. Until Adrian handled it, staying put was probably smart. She found the kitchen, which was all marble and stainless steel and looked like it had never been used. The coffee machine was professional grade, intimidating, but there was a full pot already made, still hot. Lena poured herself a cup and wandered to the windows. The view was staggering in daylight. The whole city spread out below, tiny cars and smaller people going about their lives. She wondered what it felt like to look down on everything like this, to have the kind of power Adrian had. Her phone rang. Jess. Lena almost didn't answer, but ignoring Jess would only make her more suspicious. Hey, don't hey me. What the hell is going on? Jess's voice was sharp with worry. Someone tries to break into your apartment, you're staying with some mystery coworker, and you won't give me straight answers. I've known you for 6 years, Lena. I know when you're lying. I'm not... Yes, you are. And it's scaring me. Is this about that guy? Adrian? Lena's stomach dropped. How do you know about Adrian? Because you mentioned him once and then got weird every time I asked about him. Because you've been different since you broke up with Marcus. Because something is clearly going on and you won't talk to me about it. Jess, are you in trouble? Because if you are, I can help. We can figure it out together, but you have to tell me what's happening. Lena pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the window. She wanted to tell Jess everything. Wanted her best friend's advice, her perspective, her ability to cut through the nonsense and see things clearly. But how could she explain this? How could she make Jess understand without sounding completely insane? I'm not in trouble, she said finally. I'm just dealing with some stuff. With Marcus. He's been bothering me. The break-in was Marcus? Yeah, but it's handled now. He's leaving town. How do you know that? I just do. Trust me. It's over. A long silence, then Jess's voice, quieter. This guy Adrian, is he helping you? Yes. Is he safe? Lena almost laughed. Define safe. Lena, he won't hurt me, if that's what you're asking. That's not what I asked. I asked if he's safe. As in, is this person someone you should be involved with? Probably not. But you're involved anyway. Yeah. Another silence. Lena could practically hear Jess's mind working through the implications. Okay, Jess said finally. I don't like this, any of this. But you're an adult and I can't make your choices for you. Just promise me something. What? If you need help, real help, the kind where you need to run or hide or get away, you call me. No matter what time, no matter where you are, you call me and I'll come get you. Understand? Lena's throat tightened. I understand. I mean it, Lena. I don't care how powerful or connected or whatever this guy is. You're my person. If he hurts you, he won't. If he does, I'll kill him myself. Jess, I have to go. Client meeting. But I mean what I said. Be careful. And call me later. Actually, call me, not these random texts. I will. I promise. They hung up, and Lena stood at the window feeling worse than before. She was lying to her best friend, hiding in a penthouse that belonged to a man who existed half in shadow, waiting for him to come back from business that probably involved threats and pressure and things she didn't want to think about. This was her life now. This was what she'd chosen. Her phone buzzed. Adrian. How's the coffee? Good. Strong. You talked to Jess. Of course he knew. How? I can see when you make calls, not listen, just see. That's still invasive. I know. Is she worried? Very. Do I need to be concerned? Lena thought about Jess's threat to kill him if he hurt her. Only if you hurt me, then we're fine. Are we, though? Fine? The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. We will be. After today. What happens today? I handle things. You stay safe. We move forward just like that. Just like that. You make everything sound so simple. Most things are simple. People complicate them. Lena set down her phone and finished her coffee. Tried to settle into the strange reality of being kept safe in a gilded cage. The apartment was beautiful, but empty. All expensive surfaces and no personal touches. She wandered through rooms that looked like showrooms. A dining room with a table for 12 that had probably never hosted dinner. A home office with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves mostly empty. A second bedroom as impersonal as the one she'd slept in. The only room that felt lived in was Adrian's bedroom. She stood in the doorway, not quite brave enough to enter without permission. The bed was made with military precision. A single book sat on the nightstand, something in Russian she couldn't read. The closet door was open, showing rows of dark suits and darker shirts. No photos. No mementos. Nothing that told her who Adrian Voss was when he wasn't being the man who controlled everything. Looking for something? Lena spun. Adrian stood in the hallway, silent as a ghost. She hadn't heard him come in. I thought you weren't coming back until noon. Finished early. He moved past her into the bedroom, shrugging off his jacket. Find anything interesting? You don't have any pictures? No. Why not? He hung the jacket in the closet with careful precision. Pictures are vulnerabilities, evidence, reminders of things I'd rather forget. That's sad. That's practical. Lena leaned against the doorframe. Did you handle it? Whatever you had to do? Yes. Just yes? That's all I get? Adrian turned to face her, and she saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Exhaustion. Like whatever he'd done had taken more out of him than he wanted to admit. The man who sent the package works for someone I've had problems with before, he said. Viktor Kozlov. Russian, connected, and under the impression that I've been encroaching on his territory. Have you been? That depends on your definition of encroaching. He sat on the edge of the bed, and Lena noticed his knuckles were red. He sent the package as a warning, used you to send a message. I sent one back. What kind of message? The kind that makes very clear what happens if he involves you again. Lena crossed to him, took his hand, examined the reddened knuckles. You said no blood. I said I wouldn't hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. The man who delivered the package deserved it. Adrian, he knew what it was, what it meant. He chose to be part of threatening you anyway. His jaw tightened. I made sure he understood that was a mistake. She should have been horrified, should have pulled away from this man who casually admitted to violence. Instead, she found herself sitting beside him on the bed, still holding his hand. Is it over? She asked. Not yet. Kozlov will respond, but it won't be about you anymore. I made sure of that. How? By giving him something else to focus on, by making it clear that you're untouchable, and going after you means going after everything he values. He looked at her. You're safe, Lena. From him, from Marcus, from anyone who thinks you're a weakness they can exploit. Because you made them scared of you. Because I made them understand the cost. It should have felt wrong. Should have triggered every alarm bell in her head, but all Lena felt was a strange sense of security, like Adrian had built a wall around her made of fear and reputation and absolute certainty. Come here, she said quietly. He looked at her questioningly. She pulled him down until they were both lying on the bed, her head on his chest, his arms around her. What are you doing? He asked. Taking care of you, since you spent the morning taking care of me. Everyone needs taking care of sometimes, even you. He went quiet. His hand came up to stroke her hair, tentative, like he wasn't sure he was allowed this kind of softness. They lay there for a long time, the city sounds muted by thick windows, the afternoon light shifting across the floor. Lena felt him relax incrementally, the tension bleeding out of him in slow degrees. Tell me something, she said eventually. Something real, something you've never told anyone. Why? Because I want to know you, the real you, not just the version that fixes my problems and scares your enemies. Adrian was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I wanted to be a teacher. When I was young, before my father showed me the family business. I wanted to teach literature, Russian literature specifically. Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Pushkin. Lena lifted her head to look at him. Really? My mother was Russian. She used to read to me when I was a child. Stories about Petersburg, about Moscow, about the old days before she came here. His eyes were distant. She died when I was 12, cancer, and my father decided it was time to stop being a child and start learning what it meant to be his son. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a long time ago. That doesn't make it hurt less. He looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression cracked. No, it doesn't. Is that why you don't have pictures? Because they remind you of her? Partly, and partly because the life I live doesn't allow for sentimentality. Can't afford to care too much about things people can take away. But you care about me. Yes. Even though it makes you vulnerable. Yes. Why? Because I couldn't stop myself if I tried. He touched her face, gentle. Because the second you called me pathetic in that text message, something in my brain broke. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since. Lena kissed him, slow and deep and deliberate, trying to tell him without words that she understood, that she was vulnerable too, that they were both taking risks neither of them fully understood. When they broke apart, he held her face in his hands. Stay with me, he said. Not just tonight. Not just until this is over. Stay. You already asked me that. I'm asking again, because I want to make sure you know what you're saying yes to. And what am I saying yes to? Me, my life, the complications and the danger and the fact that people will always try to use you to get to me, the fact that I'll always be watching, always controlling, always making sure you're safe even when it makes you crazy. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. The fact that I'll never be normal, never be the kind of man who comes home at 5 and talks about his day and doesn't have blood on his hands sometimes. I don't want normal, Lena said. Normal gave me Marcus and empty apartments and feeling invisible. You make me feel seen. Seen is dangerous. I don't care. You should. Are you trying to talk me out of this? I'm trying to make sure you understand what you're choosing. Lena sat up, straddling him, forcing him to meet her eyes. I understand. You're dangerous. You live in shadows. You hurt people who threaten what's yours. You control everything you can control and fight everything you can't. She leaned down until their faces were inches apart. And I want it anyway. I want you anyway. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her hard, rolling them over so she was under him, and this time there was no holding back. No pretense of control, just heat and need, and the desperate certainty that they were both falling into something neither could escape. Later, much later, they lay tangled together in sheets that smelled like him. Smoke and cedar, and something uniquely Adrian. Lena traced patterns on his chest, following old scars she hadn't noticed before. What are these from? She asked. The life I lead. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. She pinched him lightly. Stop being cryptic. Stop asking dangerous questions. You said you'd be honest. I am being honest. Those scars are from fights, from people who thought they could take what was mine, from mistakes I made when I was younger and stupider. He caught her hand, held it against his chest. They're reminders that this life has costs. Do you regret it? This life. I did. For a long time I regretted all of it. Wished I could have been that teacher I wanted to be. But then you sent me that message and showed up in that restaurant, and suddenly the path that led me here didn't seem like such a waste. Lena's throat tightened. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm not romantic. You're lying to both of us. He smiled against her hair. Maybe. They dozed for a while, the afternoon bleeding into evening. Lena woke to Adrian's phone buzzing insistently on the nightstand. He grabbed it, checked the screen, and his expression went cold. What is it? Kozlov responded, faster than I expected. Is it bad? Adrian was already getting up, pulling on clothes with efficient speed. It's exactly what I predicted. He's pushing back, trying to save face. What does that mean? It means I need to go have a conversation. Make sure he understands this isn't negotiable. He turned to her, half-dressed. You stay here. Don't answer the door for anyone except Simone. Don't leave. Don't do anything that makes me vulnerable. Lena pulled the sheet around herself. How long will you be gone? Few hours, maybe less. Adrian? She waited until he looked at her. Be careful. Something softened in his expression. He crossed back to the bed, kissed her hard. Always. Then he was gone, and Lena was alone in his apartment with the city lights starting to glow below and a gnawing fear in her stomach that she tried to ignore. She got up, showered in his bathroom, borrowed one of his shirts because it smelled like him, found food in the kitchen and picked at it without eating much, tried to watch TV and couldn't focus. The apartment felt different without him in it. Emptier. Like his presence was the only thing that made it feel like a home instead of just an expensive cage. Her phone buzzed. Not Adrian. A number she didn't recognize. Against every instinct, she answered. Hello? Lena Carter. A voice with a thick accent. Russian, she realized. We haven't met, but you're very important to someone important to me. Her blood went cold. Who is this? Victor Kozlov, I believe Adrian has mentioned me. She should hang up, should call Adrian immediately, but something kept her on the line. What do you want? To talk, just talk, woman to man, no threats, no violence. I don't believe you. Smart girl, but I'm serious. I don't want to hurt you. That would be counterproductive. Then what do you want? To give you advice. One person trapped in Adrian's orbit to another. A pause. He will consume you. Everything you are. Everything you want to be. He can't help it. It's what he does. Control and protect until there's nothing left of you that's separate from him. You don't know anything about us. I know Adrian Voss. Known him for years. Watched him destroy everything he claims to care about by holding too tight. Kozlov's voice was almost gentle. I'm not your enemy, Lena. I'm trying to save you from making a terrible mistake. By threatening me with packages and photos? That wasn't meant to hurt you, just to show Adrian he's not invincible, to remind him that caring about something makes you weak. Lena's hand tightened on the phone. He's not weak. No? Then why am I able to call you right now? Why did he leave you alone in his apartment while he comes to deal with me? A soft laugh. He's already making mistakes, already prioritizing wrong. Give it time. He'll smother you with his protection until you can't breathe. You're wrong. Am I? Ask yourself this: when was the last time you made a decision without him watching? Without his input? Without knowing he was there, controlling things? Lena opened her mouth to answer and realized she couldn't. Exactly, Kozlov said. I'll leave you alone now. No more packages, no more photos. But remember what I said. When it gets to be too much, when his love feels like a prison, you'll know I was right. The line went dead. Lena stood in Adrian's kitchen, shaking, Kozlov's words echoing in her head. She wanted to dismiss them, wanted to believe it was just manipulation from an enemy, but some part of her recognized the truth in what he'd said. Adrian did control everything, did watch constantly, did make decisions for her without asking. Was that love or possession? Her phone rang again. Adrian this time. Are you okay? His voice was tight. I'm fine. Why? Kozlov called you. How do you... I can see incoming calls to your phone. What did he say? There it was. That constant surveillance, that need to know everything. Nothing important? Lena lied. A pause. Don't lie to me. I'm not... I can hear it in your voice. What did he say, Lena? She closed her eyes. That you'll destroy me. That your love is just control. That I'll suffocate. Silence on the other end, long and heavy. And do you believe him? Adrian asked finally. I don't know. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. Lena, just come home. We'll talk when you get here. I'm handling Kozlov. I know. Handle it. Then come home and we'll figure this out. Another pause. Okay, I'll be there in an hour. They hung up and Lena sank onto the couch, mind racing. She loved Adrian. She was pretty sure she loved him. But love shouldn't feel like drowning, shouldn't come with constant surveillance and decisions made without her input. Kozlov was right about one thing. She couldn't remember the last choice she'd made alone. An hour later, as promised, Adrian came through the door. He looked exhausted, dangerous, and somehow vulnerable all at once. They stared at each other across the apartment. Is it over? Lena asked. With Kozlov? For now. We came to an understanding. What kind of understanding? The kind where he backs off and I don't destroy everything he's built. Adrian moved closer. He won't bother you again. How do you know? Because I made sure he understands the cost. Always the cost. Always the threat. Always Adrian fixing things through fear and control. We need to talk, Lena said. I know. Really talk. Not you telling me what to do or how to be safe. Actually talk. Adrian sat on the couch, looked up at her. I'm listening. Lena took a breath. I need you to back off. Just a little. Give me space to make decisions, to exist without you watching every move. I can't do that. Can't or won't? Both. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. You don't understand what's out there. What people will do if they think you're unprotected. So protect me, but let me live my life while you do it. This is your life now. With me. In my world. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You just decided that. Without asking what I want. What do you want? I want... She stopped, started again. I want to feel like a partner, not a possession. I want you to trust me to make smart decisions. I want to know that if I say I need space, you'll give it to me. And if giving you space gets you hurt, then that's on me, my choice, my consequence. Adrian stood, moved toward her. I can't lose you. You won't lose me by trusting me. You'll lose me by suffocating me. They stood close enough to touch, but didn't. The tension between them felt like a living thing. I don't know how to do this, Adrian admitted quietly. How to care about someone without trying to control every variable. It's not who I am. Then learn. For me, Because I can't be with someone who treats me like a problem to solve instead of a person to love. I do love you. The words hung in the air, first time either of them had said it directly. Then prove it, Lena said, by letting me choose. Every day. To stay, to go, to be part of this. Make it my choice instead of your decision. Adrian looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. That's all I'm asking. He pulled her into his arms and she went, both of them clinging to each other like they were afraid to let go. I'm going to be bad at this, he warned. I know. I'm going to slip up. Watch when I shouldn't. Make decisions without asking. Then I'll call you on it, and you'll do better next time. You make it sound simple. It's not. But it's worth trying. He kissed the top of her head. Yes, you're worth trying. They stood there in his apartment, holding each other while the city moved below, and Lena felt something shift between them. Not perfect, not fixed, but moving towards something that might actually work. If they were both brave enough to try, the trying part turned out to be harder than either of them expected. The first week was tense. Adrian would catch himself tracking her location and force himself to stop checking. Lena would feel the familiar weight of being watched and have to remind herself he was learning. They circled each other carefully, both hyper-aware of boundaries neither had needed to think about before. I'm going to get coffee, Lena announced one morning, pulling on her jacket. Adrian looked up from his laptop. She could see the war happening behind his eyes, the instinct to send someone with her, to insist she take the car, to control the variables. Okay, he said finally, just that, nothing else. Lena crossed to him, kissed him quickly. Thank you. For what? For letting me get coffee like a normal person. I hate it. I know, but you're doing it anyway. She went alone. No car trailing her. No messages telling her which route to take. Just Lena, walking 3 blocks to her favorite coffee shop, feeling simultaneously free and anxious about that freedom. Her phone stayed quiet the entire time. When she got back, Adrian was exactly where she'd left him, though his jaw was tight with the effort of not checking on her. See? She said, setting down a second coffee she'd brought for him. I survived. This time. Every time. You don't know that. Neither do you. That's the point. She sat beside him. The world is full of things we can't control. You can't protect me from all of it. I can try. And I love that you want to. But you have to trust that I can protect myself too. He took the coffee, held it without drinking. What if you can't? Then you'll be there. But let me try first. It became their new pattern. Small steps toward normalcy. Lena going back to work. Adrian's people checked the building's security first, but he didn't tell her about it until after. She started having lunch with Jess again, though she still kept the details of her relationship vague. Adrian made himself scarce during those lunches, even though she knew it cost him. You're trying, Jess observed one afternoon, 2 weeks into the new arrangement, to seem normal. It's not working, but you're trying. That obvious? You keep checking your phone like you're waiting for bad news, and you jumped when that guy bumped your chair. Jess leaned forward. What's really going on, Lena? And don't give me the line about Marcus being handled. There's something else. Lena picked at her salad. How could she explain Adrian to someone who lived in a world where men didn't have private security and political connections, where love didn't come with surveillance and threats from Russian mobsters? I'm in a complicated relationship, she said finally. Complicated how? Married? Wanted by the FBI? In witness protection? None of those things, just powerful and protective. And sometimes those things conflict. Jess sat back, studying her. You love him. It wasn't a question. Lena nodded anyway. And he loves you? In his own way, yes. His own way meaning what? Meaning he shows it by making sure I'm safe, by fixing my problems, by watching over me like I'm something precious and fragile. That doesn't sound terrible. It's not, most of the time. But sometimes it feels like drowning in care, like being loved so intensely there's no room to breathe. Jess was quiet for a moment. Is he dangerous? To other people? Yes. To me? Never. Are you sure? Lena thought about it, really thought about it. Adrian had never raised a hand to her, never even raised his voice, but he'd admitted to hurting people who threatened her, to making problems disappear through methods she didn't ask about. "I'm sure," she said. "He'd burn the world down before letting anyone hurt me, including himself." "And that's enough for you?" "It has to be, because I can't imagine my life without him anymore." Jess reached across the table, squeezed her hand. "Just promise me you know what you're doing, and that you'll call me if it ever stops being love and starts being something else. I promise." They finished lunch, and Lena walked back to work trying to figure out what love was supposed to feel like. Was it supposed to be easy, safe, comfortable? Because what she had with Adrian was none of those things. It was intense and complicated and sometimes scary, but it was also real in a way nothing else in her life had ever been. Her phone buzzed. "Adrian, how was lunch?" "Good." Jess asked a lot of questions. "Did you answer them?" "Some. Not all." "What did you tell her?" Lena stopped walking, stared at the message. This was the test. Did she tell him everything? Keep him in the loop like he was used to? Or claim some space as her own? That I love you, and that it's complicated. That's all? That's all she needs to know right now. A long pause. Then, "Okay. Thank you for telling me. You're welcome. See you tonight? I'll be home by 6. Simone is making dinner. Simone cooks? Simone does everything." Lena smiled and pocketed her phone. Small victories, small steps. They were learning. That night dinner was surprisingly normal. Simone had prepared something elaborate that Lena couldn't pronounce but tasted incredible. They ate at Adrian's massive dining table, just the two of them, talking about inconsequential things. Work. The weather. A documentary Adrian had watched about Russian literature. "You should teach," Lena said suddenly. Adrian looked up from his wine. "What? You wanted to be a teacher. You still could be. Adjunct professor. Night classes. Something." "I don't have time." "You have time. You just fill it with other things." She set down her fork. "When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not because it helped your business, or protected someone, or advanced your position?" He was quiet. "I don't remember." "That's sad. That's my life." "It doesn't have to be." Lena reached across the table, touched his hand. "You gave up everything you wanted to be when your father died. But he's been gone 5 years. At some point, you have to decide if you're living his life or yours." Adrian's jaw tightened. "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because I have responsibilities. People who depend on me, obligations. And none of that goes away if you spend a few hours a week teaching something you love. You're making excuses." "I'm being realistic." "You're being scared." The words hit harder than she'd intended. Adrian pulled his hand back, expression shuddering. "I'm not scared." "Yes, you are." "You're terrified of wanting something for yourself instead of just maintaining what your father built. Because wanting something means being vulnerable to losing it. Like I'm vulnerable to losing you? Exactly like that. And look how that's working out. You're still here. I'm still here. The world didn't end because you let yourself care about something." Adrian stood abruptly, walked to the windows. Lena watched him, this powerful man who could make people disappear with a phone call but couldn't admit he wanted something as simple as teaching literature. She went to him, wrapped her arms around him from behind. "I'm not trying to fight," she said quietly. "I just want you to have a life, not just an existence. You're my life now. I'm part of it. But I can't be all of it. That's too much pressure for both of us." He turned in her arms, looked down at her. "What if I try and fail? What if I'm not good at it anymore?" "Then you try something else, but at least you tried. You make it sound so simple." "It is simple. You're the one making it complicated." He kissed her, soft and slow, like he was trying to communicate something he didn't have words for. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I'll think about it," he said. "That's all I'm asking." But thinking about it turned into researching programs, which turned into reaching out to a university contact, which turned into Adrian sitting in on a literature class as a guest lecturer 3 weeks later, talking about Dostoevsky with the kind of passion Lena had never seen from him. She sat in the back of the room, watching him come alive in a way he never did during business calls or meetings with associates. This was who he could have been, who he still was, under all the layers of control and power. After class, students clustered around him with questions. Adrian answered each one patiently, thoroughly, like he had all the time in the world. Like this mattered more than whatever meeting he'd rescheduled to be here. On the drive home, he was quiet. Not the tense silence of stress, but something softer. Content, maybe. "You were good," Lena said. "I was rusty." "You were great. Those students loved you. They loved the subject. I just talked about it." "Stop deflecting. You loved it too." Adrian's hands tightened on the steering wheel, then relaxed. "Yeah, I did." "So do it again. Make it regular." "I'll see." But she knew he would. Could see it in the way his shoulders had loosened, in the almost smile that kept appearing when he thought she wasn't looking. Things settled into a new rhythm after that. Adrian taught one class a week. Lena went back to her apartment sometimes. He'd had the security upgraded without telling her, but she let it slide because he was trying. They had dinner with Jess and her girlfriend, and Adrian was charming in a slightly awkward way that made Lena love him more. It wasn't perfect. Adrian still slipped sometimes, making decisions without consulting her. Lena still felt suffocated occasionally by the sheer intensity of his attention. But they were learning, growing, figuring out how to love each other without destroying each other in the process. Then Kozlov made his move. It happened on a Tuesday. Lena was at work, in the middle of a presentation, when her phone lit up with an emergency alert. Not from Adrian, from Simone. "Leave your office now. Don't take the elevator. Stairs only. Car waiting on 3rd Street. Lena's blood went cold. She excused herself mid-sentence, grabbed her bag, and headed for the stairwell. Her coworkers called after her, confused, but she didn't stop. The stairs were empty. She took them 2 at a time, heart hammering. What was happening? Where was Adrian? Her phone rang. She answered without checking the number. "Lena Carter," Kozlov's voice, smooth as oil. "I apologize for the dramatics, but you and I need to talk." She stopped running. "Where's Adrian?" "Safe, for now. Bit occupied at the moment with a small fire at one of his properties. Nothing serious, but enough to keep him distracted while we have our conversation." "I have nothing to say to you, but I have much to say to you, and you'll want to hear it, because what I'm about to offer could save both our lives. I'm not interested. Adrian is planning to eliminate me. Within the next 48 hours. Did he tell you that?" Lena's hand tightened on the phone. "No." "Of course not. Because he doesn't tell you the violent parts, does he? Just handles them quietly and comes home with clean hands." A pause. "But this time there will be retaliation. My people won't let an attack on me go unanswered. And you, Lena Carter, are the easiest target they have. Adrian will protect me. Adrian can't protect you from a bullet fired from 3 blocks away, from a car bomb, from poison in your coffee." Kozlov's voice was almost gentle. "He's good, but he's not invincible. And the moment he moves against me, you become a dead woman walking." Lena reached the ground floor, pushed through the door into the lobby. The black car sat exactly where Simone said it would be. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want you to convince him to stand down. To leave me alone, to accept that we can coexist without destroying each other." "Why would he listen to me?" "Because you're the only thing he values more than revenge. Tell him you're scared. Tell him you want peace. Tell him whatever you need to tell him, but make him back off, or we all lose." "And if I don't?" "Then in 3 days, maybe 4, you'll be dead. And Adrian will spend the rest of his life hunting everyone connected to me. And I'll spend mine returning the favor. Is that what you want? An endless war started because 2 stubborn men couldn't compromise?" The line went dead. Lena got in the car. Simone was driving, expression grim. "Adrian knows," she said before Lena could ask. "The fire was a diversion. He's handling it now. Is he okay?" "Angry, worried about you, but unharmed." They drove to the penthouse in silence. Lena's mind raced. Was Kozlov telling the truth? Was Adrian really planning to eliminate him? And if so, why hadn't he told her? Adrian was pacing when she walked in, phone pressed to his ear, barking orders in a voice she'd never heard him use. cold, commanding, dangerous. He hung up when he saw her, crossed the room in 3 strides, and pulled her into his arms. "Are you okay? Did he touch you? Say anything?" "I'm fine. He just called, wanted to talk." Adrian pulled back, hands on her shoulders. "What did he say?" "That you're planning to kill him. That his people will retaliate by coming after me. That this ends with everyone dead unless someone backs down." She met his eyes. "Is he right? Are you planning to eliminate him?" Adrian's jaw clenched. "Yes." "When were you going to tell me?" "I wasn't." The admission hit like a slap. "Why not?" "Because you would have tried to stop me. And this is something that needs to happen." "Needs to happen? You mean you decided it needs to happen?" "Lena, no." She pulled away from him. "This is exactly what we talked about. You making decisions that affect my life without including me. This is different." "How? How is this different from every other time you've decided what's best for me?" "Because this is about survival." Adrian's voice rose for the first time since she'd known him. "Kozlov knows about you. Knows you matter to me. As long as he's alive, you're a target. I'm eliminating the threat." "By starting a war that could get me killed anyway?" "By removing the person who wants you dead." "He doesn't want me dead. He wants you to leave him alone." "And you believe him?" Adrian laughed, bitter. "He's playing you, Lena, using your compassion against you. Or maybe you're so used to solving problems with violence that you can't see another way." They stared at each other across the apartment, the space between them feeling wider than it ever had. "What do you want me to do?" Adrian asked finally. "Walk away? Let him keep threatening you? Keep looking over our shoulders forever?" "I want you to try talking to him, really talking, not threatening, not posturing, actually negotiating a peace. Men like Kozlov don't negotiate, they take advantage. Men like you don't try. You just assume violence is the only answer. Because in my world, it usually is. Then maybe it's time to live in a different world." Adrian ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand. Explain to me why killing him is the only option. Why peace is impossible. Why we have to live in constant fear instead of finding another way." "Because peace requires trust, and I don't trust him." "Do you trust me?" The question stopped him. "What?" "Do you trust me? My judgment? My ability to see things clearly?" "Of course I do." "Then trust me when I say there's another way. Let me try." "Absolutely not. You're not going anywhere near Kozlov." "I'm not asking permission." Lena's voice was steel. "I'm telling you what I'm going to do. You can help me or you can try to stop me. But if you try to stop me, we're done. Because I can't be with someone who claims to love me but won't let me make my own choices." Adrian stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. "You're serious?" "Completely." "You'd leave me over this?" "I'd leave you if you tried to control me again. This isn't about Kozlov. This is about whether you actually meant it when you said you'd let me be a partner instead of a possession." The silence stretched. Lena could see the war happening behind Adrian's eyes. Control versus trust, fear versus love. Every instinct he had screaming at him to lock her down and handle this himself. "Okay," he said finally. The word seemed to cost him everything. "We'll try it your way, but I'm coming with you. Non-negotiable." "Fine. And at the first sign of trouble, you can go full protective mode." "I know. That's fair." Adrian pulled out his phone, made a call. "Set up a meeting with Kozlov. Neutral location. Just talking. 2 hours." He listened to the response. "I don't care what he thinks. Tell him Lena Carter wants to negotiate. He'll come." He hung up, looked at her. "Tomorrow night. A restaurant downtown. Public. Secure. He'll have people there. I'll have people there. But it's just the 3 of us at the table. Thank you for trusting me. I don't trust him, but I trust you." He pulled her close. "Don't make me regret this." "I won't." The next night came too quickly. Lena dressed carefully, professional but not intimidating, strong but approachable. Adrian was in full suit armor, every inch the dangerous man he tried to hide from her. They drove in silence. Lena's hands shook slightly. Adrian noticed, took one hand in his. "You don't have to do this," he said. "Yes, I do." "Why?" Because someone has to be brave enough to try peace. And apparently, that someone is me. The restaurant was elegant, expensive, mostly empty. Kozlov sat at a corner table, two large men standing behind him. Adrian's people flanked their table. Simone and another man Lena didn't recognize. Kozlov stood when they approached. He was older than Lena expected, mid-50s maybe, with gray hair and sharp eyes that took in everything. Ms. Carter. A pleasure to finally meet in person. He offered his hand. Lena shook it. His grip was firm, but not aggressive. They sat. Adrian positioned himself between Lena and Kozlov, every muscle tense. "Thank you for meeting with me," Lena started. When a beautiful woman asks to negotiate peace, only a fool refuses. Kozlov smiled. Though I admit surprise that Adrian allowed this. He didn't allow anything. I'm here because I choose to be. Interesting. Kozlov's eyes flicked to Adrian. You've found yourself a strong one, dangerous, having someone who thinks for themselves. She's not a possession, Adrian said quietly. She's a person, with her own will, and yet you'd kill me to keep her safe, without hesitation. Just as I'd kill you to protect what's mine. Kozlov leaned back. We're not so different, you and I, both willing to burn the world for what we value. Then let's not burn the world, Lena interjected. Let's find a way to coexist. Kozlov studied her. You believe that's possible? I believe it's worth trying. The alternative is both of you spending years looking over your shoulders and me caught in the crossfire. Nobody wins that scenario. True, but peace requires assurances. How do I know Adrian won't eliminate me the moment my guard is down? How do I know you won't target Lena the second we leave this table? Adrian countered. You don't. That's what trust means. I don't trust you. And I don't trust you. So we're at an impasse. Lena looked between them. Two powerful men, both too proud to back down. Both convinced violence was the only language the other understood. What if there was a third option? She said. Both men looked at her. What if instead of trust we had accountability? Public accountability. Explain, Kozlov said. You both have businesses, legitimate businesses that rely on reputation and connections. What if we make those businesses dependent on peace? Create partnerships or deals that benefit both of you, but only as long as you're not at war. Make peace more profitable than conflict. Adrian frowned. That would require cooperation, yes, and oversight. Someone neutral who makes sure both sides honor the agreement. Who? Kozlov asked. Who could possibly be neutral between us? Lena hadn't thought that far ahead, but an idea formed, risky and probably stupid. Me, she said. I'll be the neutral party. You both value me for different reasons. Adrian because he loves me. You because I'm leverage. Use that. Make me the person who monitors the peace. If either of you breaks it, you lose access to whatever deal we set up. That puts you in danger, Adrian said immediately. I'm already in danger. This way, I have value to both of you alive and safe. You can't kill what you need to maintain your partnership. Kozlov laughed. She's clever. I see why you keep her. I don't keep her. She chooses to stay. Semantics. Kozlov turned to Lena. You're serious about this? Putting yourself between us? I'm serious about ending this before someone I care about gets killed. Kozlov looked at Adrian. What do you think? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Lena could see him running scenarios, looking for the trap. It could work, he said finally. But we'd need specifics. Terms. Consequences clearly defined. Agreed. But the principle is sound. Kozlov extended his hand across the table. I'm willing to try peace. Are you? Adrian looked at Lena. She nodded slightly. He shook Kozlov's hand. We try peace, but if you hurt her, then you have my permission to kill me slowly. Kozlov smiled. And vice versa. They spent the next hour hammering out details. Simone took notes. By the end, they had the framework for a partnership. Shipping routes that benefited both, shared security concerns, and quarterly meetings to ensure compliance. And Lena, impossibly, as the person who'd monitor it all. When they finally left the restaurant, Lena felt like she'd run a marathon. Adrian was quiet on the drive home, processing. "That was insane," he said finally. "I know. You put yourself directly in the line of fire. I was already there. You made yourself more valuable alive than dead to both sides. That was the point." He pulled the car over suddenly, turned to face her. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most reckless. Probably both. Lena, I know it's not perfect. I know there's still risk, but it's better than war, better than living in fear. And it gives us a chance. A chance at what? A normal life. Or as normal as it gets for us." Adrian kissed her, hard and desperate. "I love you, even when you're terrifying me. I love you too, even when you're trying to protect me from myself." They drove home in comfortable silence. That night, wrapped in each other, Lena felt something shift. The constant tension that had lived in Adrian's shoulders was gone. The fear that had been her constant companion had faded. They'd chosen peace, together. And maybe that was all love really was, choosing each other over and over, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. The months that followed were strange but hopeful. The partnership with Kozlov actually worked. Lena attended quarterly meetings, took notes, made sure both sides honored their commitments. It was bizarre being the bridge between two dangerous men, but it gave her a purpose beyond just being the person Adrian protected. Adrian kept teaching, started spending less time on business, more time on things that made him happy. They moved into a new place together, not his penthouse, not her apartment, but something that was theirs. Neutral ground. Jess finally met Adrian properly at a dinner party, grilled him mercilessly about his intentions. He answered every question honestly, even the uncomfortable ones. By the end of the night, Jess pulled Lena aside. "He's not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Someone scarier, but he's just a guy who loves you, a complicated, probably dangerous guy, but still just a guy. That's all he ever was." "Good, because if he hurts you, you'll kill him yourself, I know. He knows too." "Does that scare him?" "Terrifies him, which is why he'll never give you a reason." 6 months after that dinner with Kozlov, Adrian took Lena to a small restaurant, not the fancy one where they'd had their first real date, but a quiet place with good food and no pretense. After dessert, he pulled a small box from his pocket. Lena's breath caught. "I'm not proposing," he said quickly. "Not yet. Not until you're ready for that level of commitment." "Then what?" He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, a single stone that caught the light. "It's a promise," he said, "that I see you, that I trust you, that I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be the man you deserve instead of just the man who protects you." Lena's eyes stung with tears. "Adrian, you don't have to wear it. It's not an engagement ring. It's just a reminder that you changed my life, that a wrong number text message led me to the only right thing I've ever had." She took the ring from the box, slipped it on. Perfect fit. "I'll wear it," she said. "And someday, when we're both ready, you can give me the other ring, the one that means forever." "You'd want that? Forever with me?" "I chose you the night I stayed in your apartment. I choose you every day I wake up next to you. And I'll keep choosing you for as long as you'll let me." He kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been suffocating. And maybe he had been, before her. Maybe they'd both been suffocating in lives that didn't fit until a mistake brought them crashing together. "Thank you," he whispered against her lips. "For what?" "For sending that text. For showing up at that restaurant. For being brave enough to stay when anyone sensible would have run. Thank you for calling me back, for letting me in, for learning how to love me instead of just protect me." They left the restaurant hand in hand, stepping out into a city that no longer felt threatening. Lena thought about how far they'd come, from that terrified phone call to this moment of absolute certainty. Life wasn't perfect. Adrian still struggled with his need for control. Lena still sometimes felt suffocated by his attention. They fought, made up, learned each other's boundaries through trial and error. But they'd figured out something important, that love wasn't about finding someone perfect. It was about finding someone worth fighting for, worth growing for, worth choosing every single day, even when it was hard. Lena Carter had sent a message meant for a cheating boyfriend and accidentally reached a dangerous man who changed everything. Some people would call it fate. Others would call it luck. Lena called it exactly what it needed to be: a beginning. The kind that started with a mistake and became something deliberately, beautifully right. And as she walked through the city with Adrian's hand in hers and his promise on her finger, she knew without a doubt that this was where she was meant to be. Not because some cosmic force decided it, but because she chose it, every day, with eyes wide open and heart fully engaged. That was the thing about wrong numbers. Sometimes they connected you to exactly the right person. Sometimes mistakes weren't mistakes at all. Sometimes they were just the universe's way of rerouting you toward home.